She stood in front of 8 million people holding an Oscar that wasn't really hers. Everyone watching knew the truth. The woman who actually designed those dresses sat 3,000 miles away in Paris, unaware that Hollywood was about to erase his name from history. What Audrey Hepburn did the next morning didn't just correct an injustice, it created a promise that would last 40 years and change how Hollywood gives credit forever. Hollywood, California. Pantages Theater. March 30th, 1955. Wednesday evening, 7:45 p.m. The 27th Academy Awards ceremony. 3,000 people packed into an Art Deco palace built for spectacle. Crystal chandeliers hang from 40-foot ceilings. Red velvet seats arranged in perfect rows. The stage lit like a shrine. Television cameras broadcasting live to 8 million American homes. This is the night careers are made or destroyed. The night legends are born or forgotten. The air inside smells like expensive perfume, hairspray, and ambition. Women in couture gowns, men in black tuxedos, everyone smiling too brightly, everyone pretending they don't desperately want to win. The Academy Awards in 1955 is still relatively new, only 27 years old, but it already has the power to make or break lives. A nomination can save a career. A win can make you immortal. Audrey Hepburn sits in the third row, center section. Perfect visibility for cameras. She is 25 years old. This is only her third year in Hollywood. Last year, she won Best Actress for Roman Holiday, her first leading role. Tonight, she is nominated again for Sabrina. She wears a white floral Givenchy gown, custom-made, fitted to her impossibly slender frame, her dark hair pulled back simply. Minimal jewelry. She does not need ornamentation. Her face is enough. But tonight, she is not thinking about her own nomination. She is thinking about another category. Best Costume Design, black and white. The award that should go to the man who transformed her into a fashion icon. The man whose name does not appear in Sabrina's credits. The man sitting in his Paris atelier right now, unaware that his work is about to be stolen in front of the world. Hubert de Givenchy, 27 years old, the youngest major designer in Paris. He designed the clothes that made Sabrina unforgettable. The black cocktail dress with the boat neckline that will be copied 10,000 times. The white organza ball gown that looks like it was spun from clouds. The elegant day suits that show how a woman can be powerful without being loud. These are not costumes. These are art. These are the dresses that won Sabrina its nomination. But Givenchy's name is not in the credits. Instead, there is only one name, Edith Head. Costume supervision. Edith Head sits 5 rows behind Audrey, 57 years old, small frame, barely 5 feet tall. Signature look, jet black hair cut in severe bangs, oversized round glasses that make her eyes look enormous. She has been working at Paramount Studios for 31 years. She has been nominated for 25 Academy Awards. She has won 6. Tonight, she is nominated again for Sabrina. Edith knows everyone in this room. She has dressed them, advised them, saved them from fashion disasters. She is the most powerful costume designer in Hollywood. When her name is on a film, people notice. She understands the politics of this town. She understands how credit works. She understands that in Hollywood, the person whose name is on the paperwork is the person who gets the glory, even if they didn't do the work. The Best Costume Design category is announced. Black and white division. 5 nominees. The presenters open the envelope. A pause. The name is called Edith Head, Sabrina. The audience erupts. Applause fills the theater. Cameras swing to Edith. She stands, smooths her dress, walks to the aisle. Her face shows appropriate surprise, appropriate joy. She climbs the stairs to the stage, accepts the Oscar, holds it up. The gold statue catches the light. Her acceptance speech is gracious, practiced. She thanks Billy Wilder, the director. She thanks Paramount Studios. She thanks her team. She thanks Audrey Hepburn for being a perfect model, so elegant, so easy to dress. She does not thank Hubert de Givenchy. She does not mention his name. She does not acknowledge that 3 of the most iconic costumes in the film, the costumes everyone remembers, the costumes that won her this Oscar, were not designed by her. They were designed by a 27-year-old Frenchman who trusted Audrey to protect his work. Audrey sits in her seat, hands folded in her lap, face perfectly composed. Cameras occasionally cut to her. She smiles politely. She applauds at the appropriate moments. But inside, she is burning. She knows the truth. Everyone in the industry knows the truth. Givenchy designed those dresses. Edith Head made some adjustments. Yes. Edith's team constructed them in the Paramount workrooms. Yes. But the designs, the vision, the artistry, that was Givenchy. But here is what nobody in that theater understands yet. This moment, this injustice, this theft of credit in front of 8 million people, is about to create something unexpected. Not revenge, not a public confrontation. Something more powerful. A promise, a standard, a line in the sand that will change how Hollywood treats designers forever. The ceremony continues. Other awards are announced. Audrey does not win Best Actress. Grace Kelly wins for The Country Girl. Audrey applauds warmly. She is genuinely happy for Grace. They are friends. Grace wore Edith Head's costumes too. The irony is not lost on anyone. The ceremony ends at 11:30 p.m. The crowd flows into the night. After parties begin. Edith Head goes to the governor's ball, Oscar in hand, accepting congratulations, smiling for photographs. She has won. She has added another Oscar to her collection. In Hollywood, that is all that matters. Audrey leaves early. She does not attend the after-parties. She goes home to her apartment on Wilshire Boulevard, small, elegant, decorated simply. She sits by the telephone. She looks at the clock. 12:45 a.m. in Los Angeles, 9:45 a.m. in Paris. Givenchy will be in his atelier by now, working on his next collection. But she knows what really happened in Sabrina. She knows how it began. Summer 1953. 14 months before this Oscar ceremony, Audrey was preparing for Sabrina. Her second major Hollywood film, the story of a chauffeur's daughter who goes to Paris and returns transformed, elegant, sophisticated. The role required a wardrobe that could show that transformation. Billy Wilder, the director, wanted authenticity. He wanted real Paris fashion, not Hollywood's idea of Paris fashion. Edith Head was assigned as costume designer. She had won an Oscar for Audrey's previous film, Roman Holiday. But Audrey had her own vision for Sabrina. She wanted European elegance. She wanted the kind of clothes a real Parisian woman would wear. Edith's designs were beautiful, but they were Hollywood. They were costumes. Audrey wanted fashion. Billy Wilder supported her. He told her to find a Paris designer, buy real clothes, bring them to Hollywood. Audrey's first choice was Balenciaga, the master. But Balenciaga would not see her. She was too new, too unknown, so she was directed to Balenciaga's protégé, a young designer who had opened his own house just 1 year earlier, Hubert de Givenchy, Givenchy's Atelier, 3 Avenue George V, Paris, a summer morning in 1953. Givenchy is expecting a visit from Miss Hepburn. He assumes this means Katharine Hepburn, the established Hollywood star. He is thrilled. Katharine Hepburn as a client would establish his reputation internationally. When Audrey walks in, Givenchy is confused. This is not Katharine Hepburn. This is a young woman he does not recognize. slender to the point of fragility, enormous dark eyes, simple clothes. She speaks to him in French, explains who she is. She needs clothes for a film. She hopes he can design something for her. Givenchy is busy preparing his next collection. He does not have time to create custom pieces for a film. He politely declines. But Audrey asks if she can just look at his current collection. See if there is anything she loves. Givenchy agrees. He shows her the clothes. Audrey tries on the pieces. The fit is perfect. Her dancer's body, long and lean, shows the clothes exactly as Givenchy intended. Clean lines, no ornamentation, elegance through simplicity. She chooses 3 outfits: the black cocktail dress with the boat neckline, the white organza ball gown, an elegant day suit. Givenchy gives them to her. No charge. He likes her. She has something. Grace, humility, honesty. Audrey returns to Hollywood with the Givenchy pieces. She shows them to Billy Wilder. He is thrilled. This is exactly what he wanted. Real Paris fashion. Edith Head is informed that Audrey will wear Givenchy designs for the post-Paris portion of the film. Edith will design the pre-Paris clothes, the chauffeur's daughter outfits. Givenchy will provide the transformation. Edith is a professional. She has worked in this industry for 3 decades. She understands how things work. The studio system gives her credit for all costumes on a film, regardless of who actually designed them. She is the department head. Her name goes in the credits. That is how it has always worked. But there is something else happening here. Something Edith does not fully articulate, even to herself. Sabrina is supposed to be her showcase. After winning for Roman Holiday, this film could establish her as the designer who created the Audrey Hepburn look. The gamine, the elegant waif, the new kind of movie star beauty. If Givenchy's clothes steal focus, if people remember his designs instead of hers, then she loses something valuable. She loses ownership of Audrey's image. Filming begins. August 1953. The Givenchy pieces are perfect. They photograph beautifully. They make Audrey look like a dream. Billy Wilder knows these dresses will be what people remember. These dresses are the transformation. These dresses are the movie. When Sabrina is released in September 1954, the fashion press goes insane. Women want to know where they can buy the black cocktail dress. Department stores create knockoffs within weeks. The boat neckline becomes known as the Sabrina neckline. Fashion magazines feature Audrey on covers, wearing the Givenchy clothes. Vogue, Harper's Bazaar, Life magazine, everyone wants the Sabrina look. But when people ask who designed the clothes, the answer they receive is Edith Head. Paramount's publicity machine credits her. The film credits list her as costume supervision. No mention of Givenchy. The press assumes Edith designed everything. She does not correct them. Givenchy, in Paris, reads about the film's success. He sees photographs of Audrey in his clothes. He sees articles praising Edith Head's designs. He is hurt, but gracious. He does not complain publicly. This is how Hollywood works, he tells himself. He is grateful his clothes are being seen, even if his name is not. Audrey knows this is wrong. She sees the articles. She knows Givenchy is being erased. She tries to tell journalists the truth. The Paris clothes were designed by Givenchy, she says in interviews. But the corrections do not spread. The narrative is already set. Edith Head designed Sabrina. That is what people believe. When the Oscar nominations are announced in February 1955, Sabrina receives 6 nominations: Best Actress for Audrey, Best Director for Billy Wilder, Best Costume Design for Edith Head. Audrey is thrilled for herself, for Billy, but when she sees Edith's nomination, something hardens inside her. The costumes that earned that nomination were not Edith's designs. They were Givenchy's. She calls Givenchy in Paris, tells him about the nomination. He is happy for her. He congratulates her. He does not sound bitter. But Audrey can hear something underneath his graciousness. Disappointment, a sense that his work is invisible. If you win, she tells him, I will make sure everyone knows the truth. Givenchy laughs gently. Audrey, the Academy does not care about truth. They care about names they recognize. Edith Head is a legend. I am nobody. It is fine. I am proud of you. That is enough. But it is not enough for Audrey. Now, 12 hours after the Oscar ceremony, Audrey sits by her telephone. She picks up the receiver, dials the international operator, asks to be connected to Paris, Givenchy's atelier. The phone rings. A secretary answers. Audrey asks for Hubert. Givenchy comes to the phone. Audrey, I heard you were nominated. I am so sorry you did not win. Hubert, Audrey says. Her voice is quiet but urgent. Did you hear about the costume award? A pause. Yes, I heard. Congratulations to Edith. She worked very hard. Hubert, those were your designs. The black dress, the ball gown, the entire transformation. Everyone knows it. The Academy voted for your work. But Edith took the credit. Another pause. Longer. Audrey, this is how the industry works. I understand. I am not angry. I am angry? Audrey says. I am furious. You trusted me. You gave me those clothes. You asked for nothing. And now your name is nowhere. People think Edith designed them. It is not right. Givenchy's voice is gentle. What can be done? The Oscar is given. The credit is given. I cannot change it. I can change the future, Audrey says. I promise you, Hubert, every film I make from now on, if I wear your clothes, your name will be in the credits, not hidden, not as wardrobe supervision. Your name, as the designer? I promise you. Givenchy is quiet. Then, Audrey, you do not need to do this. Yes, I do, because it is right, because you deserved that Oscar, because I will not let your work be invisible. From now on, when people see me in your clothes, they will know who designed them. This promise, made at 1 a.m. Los Angeles time, 10 a.m. Paris time, on March 31st, 1955, becomes the foundation of a 40-year partnership. But more than that, it becomes a standard, a line in the sand, a statement that designers deserve credit, that artists deserve recognition, that the person who creates the work deserves the glory. 2 years later, 1957, Funny Face, a musical about the fashion world filmed in Paris starring Audrey and Fred Astaire. Givenchy designs Audrey's entire wardrobe, and this time, the credits read, Miss Hepburn's Paris wardrobe, Hubert de Givenchy. His name, right there, visible, undeniable. The film is a success. Givenchy receives his first Oscar nomination. He does not win, but he is nominated. His name is recognized. From that moment forward, every major film Audrey makes includes Givenchy in the credits. Love in the Afternoon, Breakfast at Tiffany's, Charade, Paris When It Sizzles, How to Steal a Million. Every time his name appears, the black dress in Breakfast at Tiffany's becomes the most famous dress in cinema history. Everyone knows it was designed by Givenchy, not because of studio publicity, because Audrey made sure his name was there, in the credits, in the interviews, in every photograph and article. But here is what makes this story different from every other Hollywood injustice story. Audrey never publicly attacked Edith Head. She never gave interviews condemning her. She never tried to take the Oscar away. She simply made sure it would never happen again. Not to Givenchy, not to any designer she worked with. Edith Head continued her career. She won 2 more Oscars after Sabrina. She became the most Oscar-nominated woman in history, with 35 nominations. She designed costumes for hundreds of films. She was a legend. But the Sabrina Oscar, her sixth, remains controversial. Even today, fashion historians debate it. Most agree the win was based on Givenchy's designs, not Edith's work. Edith herself, in later years, became defensive about Sabrina. In her 1959 book, The Dress Doctor, she writes about the film, but omits key details. She does not mention that Audrey brought Givenchy clothes to the set. She does not mention that Billy Wilder wanted Paris fashion. She claims the designs were hers, inspired by Paris trends, but fundamentally her creations. After Edith's death in 1981, Givenchy finally spoke publicly. In interviews, he clarified that the black cocktail dress, the ball gown, and the day suit were his designs, created in his atelier. Given to Audrey as gifts. The Paramount costume department constructed duplicates for filming, but the designs were his. He said this without bitterness, just setting the record straight. Audrey and Givenchy's friendship lasted 40 years. He designed her clothes for films, for public appearances, for her private life. He created her wedding dress when she married Andrea Dotti in 1969. He dressed her for her UNICEF work in the 1980s. When she gave speeches to raise money for starving children, she wore Givenchy. Simple, elegant, never distracting from her message. In 1991, 2 years before Audrey's death, Givenchy was asked about their partnership. He said, "Audrey did more for me than I ever did for her. She gave me visibility, yes, but more than that, she gave me respect. She made sure I was seen. In an industry that wanted to erase me, she made sure my name was there. That is friendship. That is loyalty." Audrey, in one of her final interviews in 1992, was asked about the Sabrina Oscar controversy. She smiled, that same gentle smile she gave in films. Edith was talented, no one denies that, but the dresses that won the Oscar were Hubert's. Everyone knew it. The Academy knew it. Edith knew it. But she accepted the award anyway. I could not change the past, but I could change the future. I made sure Hubert received credit for every film we made together. That was the least I could do. January 20th, 1993. Audrey Hepburn dies at her home in Switzerland. She is 63 years old, cancer. She spent her final months weak, in pain, but surrounded by family and friends. Givenchy visits her shortly before the end. They sit together. They do not talk about fashion. They do not talk about films. They talk about their 40 years of friendship. They talk about trust, about promises kept, about how rare it is to find someone who sees you, really sees you, and honors that. At Audrey's funeral, Givenchy delivers a eulogy. He speaks in French, his voice breaking. He says, "She was not my client. She was my sister, my muse, my conscience. She taught me that talent without integrity is empty. She taught me that success without honor is worthless." In 1955, Hollywood took credit for my work. Audrey gave it back, not just once, for 40 years. Every film, every appearance, every interview, she made sure my name was there. That is not business, that is love. The story of the Sabrina Oscar lives on. It is taught in film schools as an example of how the studio system erased individual artists. It is taught in fashion schools as the moment when designers began demanding credit. It is taught in ethics classes as an example of how to correct an injustice without destroying the person who committed it. Because Audrey never tried to hurt Edith Head. She never campaigned to revoke the Oscar. She never gave interviews attacking her. She simply refused to let it happen again. She drew a line. She made a promise, and she kept it for 40 years. That promise changed how Hollywood treats costume designers. Today, designers receive individual credit. Today, their names appear prominently in film credits. Today, when a designer creates iconic looks, they receive recognition, not just from fashion press, but from the industry itself. That change did not happen because of lawsuits or scandals. It happened because one actress refused to let her friend's work be invisible. The 1955 Oscar ceremony lasted 3 hours. Edith Head's acceptance speech lasted 90 seconds. But the phone call Audrey made the next morning created a 40-year partnership that changed Hollywood's relationship with fashion forever. That is not revenge. That is not bitterness. That is grace. That is loyalty. That is understanding that the most powerful way to fight an injustice is not to destroy the person who benefited from it, but to make sure it never happens again. Edith Head was talented. She deserved many of her Oscars. But the Sabrina Oscar was not hers. It was Givenchy's. And Audrey Hepburn spent 40 years making sure the world knew it, not by taking anything away from Edith, but by giving everything to Hubert. Credit, visibility, recognition, respect. In 1993, after Audrey's death, the Council of Fashion Designers of America created the Audrey Hepburn Humanitarian Award. But perhaps they should have created the Audrey Hepburn Integrity Award for the actress who understood that protecting someone's work, honoring someone's artistry, standing by someone's talent, even when the industry tries to erase it, is not just friendship, it is revolution. The Oscar sits in a museum now. Edith Head's 6th Academy Award for Sabrina, Best Costume Design, Black and White, 1955. The plaque still reads her name. The Academy has never corrected it. They never will. That is not how Hollywood works. But everyone who knows the story, everyone who has studied fashion history, everyone who has watched Sabrina and seen that black cocktail dress, that white organza gown, those impossibly elegant suits, knows the truth. Givenchy designed them. Audrey protected him. And for 40 years, every time she wore his clothes, his name was there. In the credits, in the interviews, in history. That phone call at 1 a.m., the morning after an Oscar was stolen, created a promise that lasted a lifetime. A promise that changed an industry. A promise that said, I see you. I see your work. And I will make sure everyone else sees it too. That is power. That is grace. That is Audrey Hepburn.